On 26th of February 1922, 99 years ago, Vincenzo Lancia and Felice Nazzaro made the first dig into what became known as Monza. After a bunch of delays though, pretty quickly after Lancia and Nazzaro had first made that digging, it took quite some time from lobbyists and the Council of Monza to continue work. But not so long after a bit of replanting trees in neighbouring areas surrounding Monza, the conservationists were happy and the work was underway at Monza once again. And it only took 110 days for the circuit to be completed. And now it's well known, of course, for being the international circuit of speed. Monza has always enjoyed lots of racing. It's always enjoyed fantastic action, the tifosi, the baying crowd for their beloved Ferrari drivers. But one thing to note is that the tifosi have always loved a bit of touch of French flair. They've always had the backing of incredible drivers, French drivers for that matter. Alain Prost, of course, raced for Ferrari in the 1990s. And Jean Alesi as well, who took on the role of a French driver not long after. But the Tifosi have got a bit more French flair to deal with tonight as we head into round 3 of the NXTGEN PMR Racing Renault Mégane Trophy here at this wonderful Italian circuit. It's going to be absolutely fantastic to watch, I'm fairly certain of it, and we are moments away from qualifying around this historic circuit. 99 years since its initial construction all those years ago, and we've got a very interesting championship unfolding in front of us after the last round. Will be very fascinating to see how the drivers get on around this 3-mile circuit consisting of just 11 corners, very much a case of as flat out as you can. There'll be quite a fair amount of drafting and slipstreaming all the way through this circuit, I guarantee it. We're watching Deskyver at the moment. Certainly made an impression, has Deskyver, so far this season in Lobby 1. He's been unfortunate not to get the results that he needs in terms of the championship, but he is starting to show the speed that we saw from him in the second half of Season 2. Or rather Lobby 2 in Season 4. So whether he'll be able to get a better result this time around, we'll soon find out. But Bruce Lee has joined, which is very, very good news. So we can exit and we can get things underway once Bruce Lee has just phased in and entered. He's joined right on cue. So we'll be able to get on with it with no issues at all. Just wait for him to phase through. But it will be fascinating to see how the championship plays out tonight. We've got the return of Ruddo24 as well, who had been absent from the last round at Brands Hatch GP, and a lot of chaos incurred during that round, but it has certainly made a play in the championship. So Bruce Lee has joined, so we could start. Qualifying can begin, and let's see how the drivers crack on as we wait for everything to tick over. There we go. Qualifying begins now. 10 minutes of qualifying for the drivers, and they'll all be trying to get the best position on circuit in terms of the slipstreaming queue, and that is right at the back. If they can hold on and get that prime position, we may see something a little bit along the lines of Monza a number of years ago in Formula 1, when everyone was waiting on that final lap to try and get the best position in the qualifying session. And that's what the drivers are going to have to try and contend with today. A couple of comments just coming through. I'm just going to have a quick look on that. Hello to everyone who is joining and watching. Going to be a good race around Monza. It's the first time that this championship, the Méganes, have visited Monza in Gran Turismo Sport, as far as I'm aware. So no real past information to go off apart from the practice times that we've been seeing as Martin JL09 gets out of shape coming out of the Variante della Roggia. We'll have to be careful with the curbs there around that corner. But we'll run through the championship standings after the opening 2 rounds. Look at Ruddo right in behind Hirakram. He's looking for the prime position. But it's NXTGEN Hirakram who leads the championship. He's on 72 points after an interesting 2 rounds at Brands Hatch. Bruce Lee Hardin, the biggest mover in the championship. He's up to second now. He's on 68, only 4 behind Hirakram. So very good showing last time out for Bruce Lee, certainly giving him opportunity there. P. Gibb 92, he's third on 59 points. Matty Rudd 28 is fourth on 57. Then it's a little bit of a gap backwards to Martin JL09 in fifth on 37. Duskiver level on points with him. Jainho as well, he's in 7th place on 35. Not here tonight, unfortunately, Jainho, so he's going to miss out on a good number of points. Ruddo has returned, he's in 8th place. He's on 31. Dominator and KZ2 Haas are both on 30 points each. I believe that KZ2 Haas isn't here tonight, so Dominator has a chance to extend that little advantage he's got. Vortex Racing as well, he's also on 30, but he's not here, unfortunately, again tonight. JPH 99 is on 23 points, 11th and 12th in the championship standings, Vortex and JPH respectively. But JPH also absent for tonight's race, but he'll be back at round 4. It's good news. 12th after that, and then 13th will be Alan, who is back tonight. It's good to see Alan, the Austrian driver, in the championship again. And D. Hartley is in 14th in the championship standings. So going to be very interesting to see how the drivers get on around the circuit. Alan just slotted right in behind the back of DMK Dominator, who just clamps the curbs going through Variante della Roggia. The drivers just getting to grips with it. Alan just picking up a penalty coming out of Lesmo 1 there. We'll just cut back to Hirakram. It's 18.05, just running an alternative livery. He's just a filler for tonight. It's 18.05, but good to have him in, see how he gets on in relation to the rest of the Lobby 1 drivers. But Hirakram will be the first to come along and set a lap time. Now in practice the drivers were setting 1 minute 50s in terms of the front 2. That's obviously Hirakram and Ruddo. They were doing 1 minute 50.5, 0.6. A couple of other drivers in the low 51s. So could be an interesting race on hand if the slipstream plays out the way we expect it to. So Hirakram just coming towards the timing beam. So let's see what he does in terms of his first lap so far. It's going to be a 151.3 to start everything off. Matty Rudd goes provisionally pole. It's a good lap from here. 151.2, working with a certain sibling there just behind him, with other lap times coming in now. Martin's just gone and done a 52.6. Dominator just in behind. There's Alan, and there's Duskiver going up to 7th place. About 18.05. He's still coming around that final corner. See how he comes across the line, what his lap time's going to be. It's going to be the slowest of the session, but it's a 53.5, and it's actually quicker than Alan, so fair play to 18.05, and that's Dominator getting it wrong, coming out of Rettifilio. First chicane's got that quite wrong, so you can see Matty Rudd and Ruddo 24 working together. Both of them just using as much of the curb as they can. Hirakram playing the games as well. He's purposely slowed down just to join that slipstream queue. And Pete Gibb not too far away either. And number 92 still searching for that first ever race victory. But if he can join the back of that slipstream train that's going on with Rudo24 heading it at the moment, he might just have an opportunity to score another pole position, which he did last week at Brands. Bruce Lee's just a little bit further away in 5th place, 1.3 off the pace, and there's Martin. Deskyver very close between those three in 5th. Deskyver's on the back of Alan, who just rounds out the field. But so far, no real incidents during qualifying, apart from Dominator just losing the back end coming out of Variante Retivilio. So round the final corner at Parabolica. We'll ride on board, I reckon, we're going to go with P. Gibb for a lap of Monza as the times come in. So Rudo goes fastest on that lap without slipstream, so very impressive as P. Gibb moves up to 4th position. So on board then with the Steel Seal car up to 6th gear, 155 miles an hour as we approach turn 1 on the brakes just before this 100-metre marker, down into 2nd gear. Got to clip the inside curb but not too far over, and then into turn 2. Ooh, Gibb just getting on the throttle a little too early there, but he won't have lost too much time as a result. Rudo slowing down in front of us, as you can see, just trying to get his place in the queue. Coming through turn 3, which is Curva Grande, completely flat in these cars. And then on the approach towards Variante della Roggia, up into 6th gear, then on the brakes again at 150 mile an hour, down into 3rd gear, clip the inside of the curb here, and then over it again on the exit. Nicely done so far. It's been a good lap from P. Gibb. He's going to get a lot of slipstream in front. Looking a bit messy though, going into Lesmo for the front 3 ahead of him. Nicely done though in 4th gear. Tricky part of Lesmo is the 2nd corner. He's got to flick the inside, not run too far over the curb. But he's done very well as P. Gibb, and now he'll have a great amount of slipstream. He'll have a triple toe in front of him, which will be fantastic. Let's see his speed increase as he comes up towards Ascari. Turn 8, 9 and 10 up to 151 as he brakes down into 4th gear, clips the inside curb, really nicely done, and then over these little sausage curbs on the inside, and then over the exit of Ascari. Really nice and tidy from P. Gibb. And then the final slipstream up towards Parabolica, and you can see movements being made in the front cars ahead of him. Hope they don't impede on his lap as they go on the brakes down into Parabolica. They're all jostling for position. This is going to cost P. Gibb some momentum. He won't be too pleased with this as he comes around the final corner. I did make a mention that it would be quite messy, similar to that, and P. Gibb abandons the lap. He's not happy as the front 3 were all too busy jostling position. That caused a lot of momentum lost for P. Gibb. He's going to have to lose more time to Bruce Lee Harden, but he'll have another chance for another lap after this one. As Deskyver moves himself into 6th, and Alan as well goes quicker. He's up to 8th place now, which leaves 18.05 at the back of the train. Has done a personal best middle sector. He's going to struggle without his slipstream. Sure enough, he just sits on a 53.5. He's going to need a little bit more in terms of pace, but without that slipstream, he's going to struggle, similar to that of Dominator as well. But look at the absolute mess we've got coming into turn 3. All these cars fighting over the same position. Rudo still has pole position provisionally at the moment, number 24, and he did that without slipstream, which is massively impressive as he clips the car through Lesmo too. So Rudo24 just following behind his sibling. Probably going to catch him a little bit too early as they come to Ascari, and you can see the lap time not improving. Aircramp on his own up front. Gibbs obviously not going to go any quicker. Bruce Lee might be in a good position here, Bruce Lee, to have another crack at the slipstream. Whether he can join onto the back potentially of Rudo and Matti Rudd is another matter. Whether Rudo can slow down enough for Bruce Lee to benefit from that. Hirakram then will lead them onto the final lap of qualifying. All have got themselves a little bit, I think the two Rudds have got themselves too close together. Hirakram sets himself a new personal best. It's a 51 flat. Bruce Lee does a 51.3, and Rudo's going to catch Matti Rudd's going to go to the outside line, and Matti Rudd's going to abandon any chance of an improvement. So he's under pressure now from Bruce Lee as Alan goes quicker as well, and Dominator improves as well. Oh, Bruce Lee pushing as much as he could coming out of the first chicane. That's just cost him a bit of momentum. Skive's going to get one more lap, and that's Martin round. He's been having some awful luck with his wheel. Martin just trying to get back on track, and he just returns to the pits. But he's been having some awful luck with his wheel. It hasn't helped him at all. So some issues for him. Hopefully he can clear them up in the race. He's down in 7th, and that's as good as it's going to be for him. Ruddo just comes his way through now. Lesmo 1. Oh, that's Bruce Lee off into the gravel. He's got a penalty, so Bruce Lee won't improve. Let's watch Hirakram as we come towards Ascari, belting along at 150 mile an hour as they come towards this approach. But to 6th gear. And Hirakram's improving. He's 2/10 up. Didn't quite catch Ruddo's time as he went across that split beam for the timing sector. So here comes Hirakram then. Can he make any improvements? He's only half a tenth as it stands off the back of Ruddo if he can keep up this momentum. Martin saying he's got some issues. Yeah, it's unfortunate. But here comes Hirakram then. Can he make any improvement as he comes towards the line? What's his lap time going to be? He improves, but he's just missed out. And Ruddo goes quicker. So Ruddo currently provisionally pole. What about P. Gibb? Doesn't improve. Matty Rudd, obviously we saw he had to back off earlier. So Duskiver will be next up after Allen. Allen doesn't improve. What about Duskiver? He does improve. So good lap from him. Dominator comes across the line, no improvement, and 18.05 has already seen the checkered flag in terms of his lap time. So it's Ruddo 24 who gets pole position. His first pole of the season, so 3 different pole sitters in the opening 3 rounds there. Great lap from Ruddo. He gets that pole position. Hirakram will be alongside him. Matty Rudd in 3rd, Bruce Lee in 4th. That'll be a very interesting second row with P. Gibb in 5th and Duskiver, best qualifying position of the season, there in 6th place. Here we go then. Into the race. So it's Ruddo 24 on the black and red Geisen car on the right hand side. Next gen Hirakram on the white and green liveried car there of the Joyce design. He's on the left. Watch out for Matty Rudd and Bruce Lee Harden on the second row. It's 20 minutes on the right hand side. Here come the numbers. And the race is live from Monza. It looks like a really good start from Ruddo, and it is indeed. He cuts across Hirakram immediately to stop him from getting any chance through. Matty Rudd looking to try and make a move potentially on the inside as they approach turn 1 for the first time. Down on the brakes into the chicane they come. Bit of contact at the back. That sends 18.05 forward, but he's just about kept his nose clean. So, looks like so far so good. Cracking start from P. Gibb. He's up to P3 after starting 5th on the grid. Martin JL09 trying to make a move around the outside of Bruce Lee Harden, but I think he's going to get hung out to dry because of the slipstream, and sure enough he slots himself straight back in. Let's get the camera angles open. But P. Gibb, great start from him, up from 5th to 3rd, and now the slipstreaming begins as Ruddo goes through the gap. Oh, Matty Rudd just got the chicane wrong, not helpful at all. And Martin JL09 looking at a move at the inside of Bruce Lee through Lesmo 1, and he goes straight through. Bruce Lee will be identifying already. Doesn't want to fight, just wants to get on up the road so that he can hang on to the back of the slipstream, because Ruddo and Hirakram already looking to try and gap the rest of the field. In fact, P. Gibb is almost a second clear of Matty Rudd. So the rest of the grid might have already missed the opening slipstream. You look at Hirakram just having a brief look at the inside going into Ascari, but nothing doing so far. P. Gibb just hanging on at the moment. He'll do very well to maintain that slipstream onto the front duo. And Hirakram just nudging Ruddo along. They know that they want to break away together. There's Gibb in 3rd. Oh, he's just gone a little bit deeper into that corner than he would have wanted. There's Matty Rudd. Bruce Lee's got back in front of Martin JL09, and Duskiver's just with them as well. So looks like we've got 3 trains going on in terms of the slipstream, because Dominator is leading Allen and 18.05, and Ruddo just being pushed along by Hirakram. Gibbs trying his best to stay on the back of these two. He's had a fantastic chicane there. He's gained a huge amount of time, so really good on the brakes from P. Gibb there. Just took out 4/10 of the deficit that he had to the front duo. It's Rudd. It's Bruce Lee. There's a little gap back to Martin. So Bruce Lee probably will want to try and work with Matty Rudd, and that's Ruddo going defensive into the chicane, and that's just concertinaed this group together, made it a proper three now. And Ruddo again defending, going into Lesmo 1. Now what would Ruddo's plan be here? Try and pull away with Hirakram and P. Gibb. Oh, that's Matty Rudd gone further down the field. He's made a mistake somewhere. Just saw him ghosting coming out of Lesmo 1, so maybe a mistake there. Matty Rudd down to 7th, and he's got to hope he hasn't been shot out the back of that queue, because if he has done, he'll have lost the slipstream, and that's going to be vital around here, and he'll have a pretty lonely race from there on in. Martin just clearing a penalty, so he's going to let Duskiver through. So Duskiver sneaks his way up into 5th, and in doing so they've actually cost themselves a bit of momentum to Bruce Lee Harden, because he's now got a 2nd ahead of these two, and Matty Rudd on the back of them as well. Oh, Allen and 1805 have dropped right the way back, so not certain what's happened to them. So Dominator now just running in 8th by himself. But Ruddo, Hirakram and P. Gibb. This P. Gibb just looks at the inside of Parabolica, but he'll know that he doesn't need to make any movements just yet. Oh, Ruddo just shutting the door a little late on Hirakram, but no accident. Here comes P. Gibb then on the outside, coming towards turn 1. What will Hirakram's play be? He's going to brake later than the pair of them. Great move, and Pete Gibb moves into first position. Oh, he's just a little bit untidy on the exit though. That's going to present the door for Ruddo to try and pass through. I think Pete Gibb's just about going to shut the door on him though. Ooh, as close as you like. That's how close it was between the two. So Pete Gibb takes the lead, and this begins the slipstreaming circus. As Hirakram just brakes, so he's right underneath the rear spoiler of that red and black Mégane in front of us. Nice exit as well. And Ruddo defending as hard as he needs to. Maybe he has a plan, potentially, to try and back Hirakram and himself into Bruce Lee Harden. There's only 1.4, and if the three of them keep fighting, there's still an opportunity for Bruce to get onto the back of this train. Matty Rudd though, he's got himself to the front of the queue. He's now up to 5th. There's Duskiver in 6th. Martin's just there in 7th. Dominator not too far away. He's going to have to hope for a little bit of defending, which is happening from Matty Rudd and Duskiver at the moment. If he can just keep pushing, he'll have an opportunity to tag onto that group. Allen there in 9th and 1805. These two probably already thinking about race 2 for that reverse grid. They'll hopefully be able to just get themselves through, bank some good points, and then aim for the reverse grid pole, which at the moment is going 1805's way. But P. Gibb leads the duo behind out of Parabolica. It's Ruddo going up the inside. Hirakram will ride on board with. Which way will Hirakram go? Will he look to lead? He's going to follow Ruddo and just give him a little nudge, just to make sure he gets in front of P. Gibb. And Hirakram's going to go to the inside. He knows this is important, and Hirakram gets through. So another change of position between these three. But Hirakram will know that he can't really leave a space between himself and Ruddo. He knows that P. Gibb shouldn't be between the pair of them. That'll just give Ruddo the advantage potentially he needs to break away. Ruddo again defending the inside line, going into Variante Della Roggia. Oh, as close as you like to the back of that Geisen car. To the outside, Ruddo still defending. Gibb just watching this as it goes on. And Bruce Lee for the first time is under a second. Oh, just as I say that, he went a little deep at Lesmo. Can he get the line right through Lesmo 2? Because he's almost on the back of that queue. And the slipstream in GT Sport really starts to begin at 1.1 seconds. Look at Ruddo again, defensive. Coming down the main back straight here towards Ascari. Hirakram as late as they want to. On the brakes, he's been pushed out a little bit. Pete Gibb, he's not going to try and make that move. And here comes Bruce Lee Harden. So it's a quartet now for the lead. And P. Gibb, it's very early in the race, he's just going to let Bruce Lee through, which he does indeed. So the quartet now fighting for first place, and the psychological warfare begins now. All the drivers know that the Mégane is a car that you can slipstream in very easily, but you've got to be in the right place in a quartet to get that victory, and all four of these drivers certainly capable of doing it. P. Gibb, admittedly the only driver in this quartet not to have won a race, but he's certainly capable, just needs a bit of luck. As Hirakam, look how much of the closing speed is, he goes on the grass. They come towards turn 1. A harsh defence from Ruddo, did not want to give any space at all, but he holds on to first place. Bruce Lee Harden and P. Gibb just watching this as it goes on. There's Matty Rudd, who's actually got away from Martin, and Deskyver, who's dropped to 7th. Dominator in 8th, just can't quite make any inroads as of yet. And there's Allen in 9th and 1805 rounding out the top 10. And Ruddo's still defending from Hirakam, not giving any quarter at all is Ruddo, and anyway wants to try and hold off for as long as he can. Ruddo wanting to defend from the front for the time being. 52.9 that last lap from Ruddo, and the best lap he's done is a 52.2, which is 2 seconds almost slower than his pole position time, so you can see the cost of defending. As Hirakam looking again to try and make a move potentially into Ascari, not going to fall for the dummy is Ruddo. Just takes his line through Ascari. A little bit of contact between the two, but no harm at all between them. Bruce Lee just sat there, P. Gibb as well. Matty Rudd did a 52 flat last time around, and that was a second quicker than Ruddo. So don't rule out Matty Rudd from joining this crew if Ruddo keeps putting up his staunch defences. Hirakam tries to go round the outside at Parabolica, and he's made that move stick. But Bruce Lee Harding now is going to be in position to try and make some slipstream. Hirakam goes defensive as much as he can. And now Pete Gibb will ride on board with. He's in the perfect position to watch this with. Ruddo's to the outside, it's almost free wide. Gibb trying to position himself as well. Gibbs a little bit of contact maybe between the front two. They're side by side going through turn 1 and turn 2. They're still leaning on one another, are Ruddo and Hirakam, but they've just about come through it together. And still they fight alongside each other, going through the Curva Grande. Hirakam will have the inside line. That's just going to give him a tighter line, and it'll just give him a touch of an advantage coming towards Variante del Rogier. But this time Hirakam makes the move stick. Ruddo just comes across a little bit on Bruce Lee. No real contact to force Bruce Lee off, which is good news. But it's already heating up. We're halfway through the race now, and the moves are being made. Absolutely. There's P. Gibb and Matty Rudd. I said he wouldn't be far away. A 51.6 last time round. He is going to join the quartet and make it a quintet. He's right there now in the slipstream, and any one of these five have got an opportunity to make a potential race victory. But Ruddo forcing Hirakam as defensive as possible, going into Ascari. But Hirakam, only one car through at a time through Ascari and these Meganes, just keeps himself in front. Right on the bumper camera as Hirakam kicks up a little bit of dirt. On the floor camera, around the outside, Ruddo's going to look towards. Hirakam gives himself a bit of a bump over to Ruddo. Tries to open the wheel, and sure enough, Hirakam keeps that position. That's going to give Bruce Lee an opportunity, but he can't get through. Ruddo, staunch defensive line taken from him. And now the slipstream again commences, coming down this main straight. Ruddo pulls out of the slipstream, he's going to go alongside Hirakam, and Bruce Lee's going to push Ruddo forward. Oh, a little bit of contact between P. Gibb and Bruce Lee, but they've just kept it clean. Ruddo goes through as a result of the nudge from Bruce Lee, so Ruddo retakes that position. Matty Rudd now almost on the back of this quartet leading team, so to speak, as Martin Duskiver, 6th and 7th, Dominator still in 8th, no change further back. Ruddo still defending. He just about forces Hirakram wide. That's a nice line from Bruce Lee Harden. He's going to move to the inside, and Hirakram can't cover the inside at Lesmo 1. He's on the outside. Little bit of, I think that was contact with the wall from Bruce Lee Harden, so that's cost him. And look at Pete Gibb now trying to go and make a move into Lesmo 2. He's going to try and stay around the outside. That's going to compromise him. Matty Rudd has the run out of Lesmo 2. Pete Gibb will have the slipstream, but the drivers will then just transition to the right hand side, will they? No, because of Ruddo's defensive line. Pete Gibb keeps the slipstream, and Matty Rudd, yeah, sure enough, just slots in behind this 5-car train. And Martin JL09 is catching as well. That's to make another point of it. So anything can happen in the next 7 minutes. And Hirakram again looking around the outside. He made this move stick on Ruddo before, but I fear these two are trading blows. So early looks to do it again, but Ruddo just opens the steering, which he's entirely entitled to do. We're on the bonnet camera. Hirakram trying to find any way he can through, but he's not going to find it there. And Ruddo holds that inside line. We're on board with Bruce Lee Harding. Hirakram trying to look to the inside, nothing there. Hirakram tries to come across. Bruce Lee breaks a little bit later. He's going to try and make an attack around the outside and then the inside for turn 2. Little bit of opposite lock and Hirakram gets forced out, so Hirakram drops down to 3rd. Bruce Lee moves up to 2nd place, and Ruddo will now push as hard as he can. He needed a space to try and keep Hirakram penned in, and that's exactly what's happened here. Matty Rudd's got past P. Gibb thanks to a very good exit out of turn 1. Matty Rudd's going to try and break a little bit later than Hirakram. Bit of contact between the two. Just about hold on. They've compromised themselves though, and that's going to give Bruce Lee and Ruddo a chance to try and escape up front. But he was very wide going through the turn that is Lesmo 1. So Ruddo hasn't quite extended the gap, and sure enough, Hirakram, nice and tidy through the Lesmos, has just kept himself within the slipstream limit he needs to be at. Martin's only 1.7 away now. 5:40 left. Quintet of cars see themselves separated by just 2 seconds, but expect that to Constantina back up, because Ruddo wants to lead from the front as best as he can. Been a fantastic race so far. Quarter of it now remaining. Should be enough time for potentially 2 laps after this one. Maybe even a 3rd, depending on where the drivers are. I don't believe so though. So around this final corner comes Ruddo. Got a 2/10 advantage to Bruce Lee, which isn't going to be enough to not defend into turn 1. So we're on board with Bruce Lee Harding then. As we come towards turn 1 for the 9th time, will he go to the inside or the outside, Bruce Lee? He doesn't. He just hits the back of Ruddo. So that is tactical information for Ruddo to know that he just wants to work with the driver in front. He knows that Bruce Lee Harding behind is not going to try and attack him. They both want to try and pull away from Hirakram, who has actually got himself a 2nd clear of P. Gibb. So Matty Rudd and P. Gibb obviously been fighting for 4th position, and Matty Rudd's actually just fell out of the slipstream corridor effectively. So they're going to have to hope for these 3 to keep fighting. Oh, they've both gone deep, the front 2, and Hirakram's going to look to the inside. Bruce Lee very sideways on exit, and here comes Hirakram up the inside at Lesmo 1, and through he goes. That was the mistake that neither of them needed. So Bruce Lee relegated down to 3rd position, and the championship leader back up to 2nd, and he's got a good run out of Lesmo 2. Ruddo, he knows he's got to take as many points as he can out of Hirakram. Goes to the inside as they come towards Ascari for the 9th times on the outside line. Little bit of door rubbing between the two, but Hirakram has to stay behind Ruddo. Good defensive driving from the Geisen driver. He's still as tight as he possibly can coming towards Parabolica. Pete Gibbs got himself up to 4th. Matty Rudd's fighting alongside, and there's Martin's going to join in that fight as well. But Bruce Lee watching with him. Oh, a little bit wide from Ruddo. That's going to give the opportunity for Ruddo to come through, and Ruddo comes across straight away. He knows he can work with Bruce Lee Harding. So Bruce Lee, I suspect, will just give him a nudge along, and he does indeed. So these two working together And Alan saying throttle pedal's broken, unfortunately for him. But Bruce Lee, oh, he's trying to go to the inside. It's a bit of contact on the grass. Ruddo, and they've gone deep into the corner. Here comes Bruce Lee Harden. He's going to try and go around the outside. Can he lead? Coming out of the first chicane. Ruddo went very deep, and sure enough, Bruce Lee takes the lead with this being the penultimate lap. Ruddo, arguably the architect of that downfall. There was a bit of contact going into Lesmo into the first corner, but that was because of Ruddo pushing Bruce Lee not intentionally onto the grass. So Bruce takes the lead. Bit of contact coming through the first chicane. Going through Roger there. Hirakram in third. Pete Gibbs joined the back of this. Matty Rudd there, and Martin is there as well. So any contact between the drivers, and that's going to be positions gained for him. Alan just down in fourth with fourth gear there. And Bruce Lee's got a penalty he's got to try and deal with, but he's got 6/10 to Ruddo. Hirakram trying to find a way through at the moment. Bruce Lee's going to have to try and find a way to get rid of that penalty. But Hirakram's all over the back of Ruddo. They break again, going into Ascari. Fourth gear, flip the car through. Then they go through line astern. There's Pete Gibb, there's Matty Rudd, there's Martin JL09. Martin JL09 with the fastest lap of race, a 51.1. Now they're giving it as much as they can. Bruce Lee swerving in the road. Here comes Hirakram trying to go around the outside. He's not going to get his way through there. And is he going to try and go around the outside again? He can't quite make it. He's got to be careful of that sausage curb. Watch Pete Gibb as well. So here we go then. Final lap of the race we're coming on to. Bruce Lee Harding potentially looking at another race win this season. Bruce Lee Harding goes to the outside, then he swings to the inside. Hirakram trying to go around the outside as well. They're almost going to be three wide. This is not going to work. Going into turn one. Hirakram breaks later. Ruddo's trying to break later as well. Bruce Lee holds position. He's got the lead still. Hirakram bounces over the curb. Gibb gives him a touch. Ruddo sideways out of turn one. Unbelievable. They're still battling though as they come towards Curva Grande. This is incredible racing. Matty and Martin just a little bit further back. Bruce Lee has a gap. He's only got a 10th of his penalty to clear. Ruddo as defensive as he can. Hirakram trying to go for the switchback, but he can't make it pay. Here comes Pete Gibb around the outside, but no way is Hirakram going to let Pete Gibb through like that. And Hirakram has got a good exit. Pete Gibb didn't know. And that's just brought Matty Rudd back into play. Martin's right there as well. This is the final lap. And Bruce Lee has got 1/10 of a penalty to clear. That's all he's got to get rid of. But he's got this baying pack of cars behind them. A sextet of cars, 6 cars in a row, all trying to vie for position. Here comes Hirakram on the outside. Matty Rudd trying to attack as well. Going into Ascari. There's a little bit of contact wheel to wheel. They're on the gravel. Oh, how has Hirakram kept that on the circuit? That's unbelievable. I thought for sure he was in the gravel. Matty Rudd's got past Pete Gibb. Martin's trying to find a way through as well. This is coming up to Parabolica for the final time. There's all movements going on in the background as Matty Rudd holds on for 4th place, potentially going into the final corner. Bruce Lee, though, as Pete Gibb tries to make a lunge for the final corner, but it's going to be Bruce Lee Harding who takes the victory. Opportunity beckoned and he grabbed it with both hands. It's a second win of the season for him. Ruddo's just going to hold on by 200th of a second from Hirakram. Matty Rudd held on to 4th, Pete Gibb 5th, Martin with a great comeback drive to come home in 6th. There's Duskiver in 7th position. Dominator a lonely one for him in 8th place, 18.05, and Alan will come home in 9th and 10th respectively. But Bruce Lee Harding, the race winner, what a result for him. That was exceptionally tight battling between the front 6. Really good fighting, nice and clean. But it's Bruce Lee who comes on top in the end, and he's going to be thrilled with that one. Great result for him. There's the comments coming through there. What a race for the victory. But it was Bruce Lee Harding who took the race victory. Fantastic effort from him. Ruddo in the end coming home in 2nd with Hirakram 3rd. P. Gibb just put a comment saying, my word. Yeah, it was a very good race. P. Gibb in the end couldn't quite wrestle 4th place off Matty Rudd, but he did his best. So we'll take a few minutes to have a breather. And what we need to do as well is just make some changes so that we're ready for the second race. So reverse grid, of course. Make sure all of our other settings are sorted. But what a race. What a race that was. So we'll just take 5 or 6 minutes just for a breather. I'll just let the drivers know as well. We'll be starting at 20:48. If that would give me the option I need, that'd be fantastic. P. Gibb just putting a comment in there just saying move into the first chicane outside past Ruddo and Mark, sim racing highlights. That was a very good move. Very good move. Looked like you three were going to get away to begin with, but a lot of infighting in the end. That certainly was a highlight. Fantastic opportunist overtake. I'm just going to take a breather myself for a few moments. So it will be fascinating then to see how the drivers get on for race 2. Alan will be on pole position thanks to the reverse grid strategies in any case, so that will be fascinating to see how he gets on from the front. Hopefully his throttle pedal is sorted. I believe he did make a comment in the chat history. Let's have a quick check just to see. Restart wheel, there we go. So he has got it sorted. That's good news. So it'll be interesting to see how Alan gets on his first reverse grid pole of the season. 18.05 will start in second position, which will be interesting to see how he gets on with the pressure. Of course, nothing wrong with that. Be interesting to see how he drives after his temporary promotion to Loppy 1. So that will be your front duo on the grid in terms of Alan and 18.05. Row 2 will consist of Dominator 3 and Duskiver. Hopefully those two will be able to have a chance to get involved in the slipstream action right at the front. Dominator had a bit of a lonely race. 5th will be Martin. 6th will be P. Gibb. 7th will be Matty Rudd. 8th will be Hirakram. 9th Ruddo 24 and Bruce Lee Harden will start from the back. So it will be very interesting to see how the slipstreaming corridor returns for race 2. So we're just a few minutes away from race 2 here at Monza. We'll just go into the spectating area. I believe Ruddo's having a few issues. A couple of cars out on track. Martin just getting some running in, as well as Alan. Just having a quick communication with the Mégane drivers. Just seeing what is going on. Ruddo having some issues. I'll just ask them to enter so we can get race 2 underway. Ah, there we go, all sorted. Let's put race starting and then we'll be underway for race 2. So let's get it underway. So it'll be fascinating to see how they get on, but it's Alan who'll be on pole position. Alan 1, see how he gets on for the second race tonight here at round 3 for Monza. So it's Alan on the front row in the usual Renault Mégane Trophy sport livery there, you can see on the yellow. There's 1805 in the red and white car on the left hand side. Watch out for Dominator and Duskiver on the second row grid. It's going to be fascinating to see how the drivers get on for this one. 15 minutes on the right hand side here. First of all come the red lights. And the race is live here from Monza. Looks like a relatively good start from the front 2. Relatively even so far, but Alan is being encroached on a little bit already from 1805. He's going to have the inside line as they approach the first chicane, but Alan covers immediately. Good showing from the Austrian driver, but 1805 has sailed off and got it wrong. He's going to go into the wall, and that's going to drop him right to the back of the grid. So Alan will have a nice clean run coming towards the second chicane. Dominator up to second. Martin, great start, up to third position. There's Duskiver in fourth. Matty Rudd in fifth place. P. Gibbs sixth. Hirokram up to seventh. Ruddo eighth. Bruce Lee in ninth position. I'm going to get all the camera angles we can. Get straight into it. Looks like a bit of a contest going on. There's almost 3 wide going into the chicane. That's never going to work. But somehow they all survive. Duskiver loses out in the end. But in any case, Martin gets up to third position. But look at the gap that the front 2 have already pulled away from. Alan and Dominator have got a 1.3 second gap to third place. That is time that they need to keep hold of. And Martin's in the gravel trap. Through goes Matty Rudd. Through goes Duskiver. Hirokram's going to go through. Ruddo's going to go through. Everybody gets past Martin as a result. A little mistake out of Lesmo 2 just undoes all of Martin's hard work. So that means Matty Rudd up to third position after scoring fourth in race 1. The ITG car runs in third position. And this is going to be an interesting fight now, because the front 2 are slipstreaming together. Matty Rudd is going to have to try and use 1-2 options. Either A, defend as hard as he can for a podium, or B, work together with the cars behind, all 6 of them, to try and slipstream up to the race lead. But Matty Rudd goes wide as Bruce Lee gets past Duskiver here, coming out of Parabolica. Matty Rudd going very wide, lost a lot of time. So Dominator is in second place. Alan leads his first race in the Méganes as Dominator looks to go to the outside. He wants to lead the way. The These two shouldn't fight too hard, realistically. They want to try and pull away from the group. They've got a very good opportunity, some good points here. And you can see already the difference that's made. The gap comes under 2 seconds for the first time in a few corners. Hirakram up to 4th now, and Ruddo in 5th. So these two, who were fighting exceptionally tooth and nail for the race win earlier, have now got an opportunity. Look at the front two now fighting as well, again for the race lead. Dominator on the inside going into the second chicane, but Dominator has to brake a lot earlier. Hirakram's up to 3rd, so the ominous bell tolls for the front two. How long they'll last in the first and second positions we won't know, but it won't be very long with Hirakram bearing down on them. There's Ruddo in 5th, Gibb in 6th position, Bruce Lee 7th, Martin, ooh, just got that a little bit wrong, did Martin. It's actually going to promote Duskiver an opportunity to come up to 8th place. These two just need to work together. Everyone needs to work together realistically to bring themselves up the field. Here comes Ruddo on the inside and Matty Rudd. That one pretty straightforward. Up to 4th place goes the Geissen driver. That's Bruce Lee. Martin's dropped back a little bit. That's going to give Duskiver a chance coming out of Ascari. These two fighting over 8th position. Here comes 1805 through the middle. So 1805 trying to make an opportunity. They're 3 wide coming towards Parabolica. Nice opportunist move. And 1805, is he going to get 2 for the price of 1? Looks like Duskiver got nudged a little bit wide. Might have been the camera angle, never know. But in any case, Martin now on the inside. We cut forward because P. Gibb is fighting with Bruce Lee Harding. They just need to work together. Rudd's working together as well. Alan's still leading the way as they go on to another lap. Dominator just brakes too late. He's got it wrong, and that's cost him. And that's his podium chance. I reckon that might be gone. Unless he can regroup and keep with the rest of the field. He just braked a little too late. So Alan's still leading the way here. Hirakram in 2nd, but Ruddo now has got an opportunity. He's going to look to the outside as they come towards Variante della Roggia. A little bit of door-to-door banging between the two, but they've just about sorted themselves out going through the chicane. Hirakram bounces over the curb. Nice exit from Ruddo. Matty Rudd watching this in the background. These two fighting really hard though. It's going to give Alan an opportunity. They need to get on with this, these two. Very good display from the Austrian up front. Potentially could be the first non-British driver to score a podium since Timmy DJG 94. If my information's correct. Could be wrong, I believe I am. But here comes Ruddo on the outside. Going into Ascari. No move beckons for him there. Matty Rudd's just been gapped. Bruce Lee and Dominator, and here comes P. Gibb on the outside towards Parabolica. P. Gibb should be able to get through. Dominator playing a smart game. Doesn't want to break too much, doesn't want to lose all of his penalty. He wants to try and stay with P. Gibb, and in fact he's lost about 7 tenths, 8 tenths now. That could be costly. Gets his line a little bit out of shape as well coming out of Parabolica. Needs to stay in that slipstream, that's going to be vital. Martin gets past 1805 for 8th place, so battles all up and down the grid. Duskiver having a good exit. Ruddo's trying to have a look as well further up the field. He's actually passed Hirakram. It's all so far so good. Martin, after getting past 1805, trying to brake a little bit later. 1805 on the inside on the curb, keeping it nice and clean. Martin keeps the position. Dominator's run wide out of turn 2, and that might just be that. He's had a good race, but a couple of mistakes at the chicane. We saw him go off in practice. Has dropped into the back of the field. So coming up to the halfway mark in this race, and Alan still leads the way, has to be said. Really good showing. Then it's Ruddo and Hirakram who are still fighting as hard as they can. And it's Matty Rudd in 4th position, who without the slipstream is going to have to wait for an opportunity. Bruce Lee pushing as well in 5th. P. Gibb in 6th position. Martin's in 7th for 1805. Dominator. Duskiver's dropped to the back of the field, the number 18. But look at Ruddo again. How defensive does he want to be going into Ascari? He's on the inside, breaks just a little bit later than Hirakram. Keeps his position. And all this infighting's just keeping Alan in the lead for the time being. They are closing on the Austrian driver, but They've never had the direct opportunity to fight Alan before, so it'll be interesting to see how he defends these two drivers. Hirakram just using that little faint toe to try and draw alongside going into Parabolica, but Ruddo keeps the position. Will Hirakram try and do a switch back underneath coming out of Parabolica? He can't, but he's in a perfect position to try and make a move coming into turn one. He's going to try and look to the outside, but Ruddo just shuts the door, but he wasn't quick enough. But a little nudge along will help in his progress towards the back of Alan, which he now truly is. Alan just defending to the inside. That's going to be an opportunity for Hirakram. Oh, Alan's gone deep into the corner. He's just about held on. And Hirakram, the cheeky opportunity that he needed to take, he gets the lead off Alan. So Alan too deep into the corner. He was focused on the cars behind. He loses the lead, but he's still right there. Ruddo just delayed in all of that. It's brought Matty Rudd into it. It's brought Bruce Lee as well. P. Gibbs within a second too. Alan trying to look to the outside of Hirakram. On the throttle nice and early coming out of the second chicane. That looked like a little bit of an error from Bruce Lee Harding. And sure enough, he's going to lose the position to P. Gibb. He didn't need that. Nor did P. Gibb for that matter. He was hoping to use Bruce Lee as a bit of a transit as Bruce Lee tries to do a cut back. That would have been very impressive coming out of Lesmo 2, but it's a quartet for the lead. 6 minutes 20 to go. And anything can happen in these next 6 minutes. Certainly opportunities present for these four drivers to take a race win. But Hirakram leads the way for the time being. Alan holding his own for the moment. Needs to use all of the slipstream and more if he can, but Ruddo won't want him anywhere near if he can help it. So will Ruddo try and look for a move into Parabolica? He looks to the inside line. Brakes just a touch early. Oh, a bit of contact. He's pushed Alan wide. Alan goes down to third. Looked like there was a bit of contact between the two. Whether it was on Ruddo's screen, I'm not certain. I know he's suffering with some connection issues. But Alan down to third place. He's going to keep the slipstream as well from the two in front of him. But he's got Matty Rudd crawling all over the back of his rear wing. Matty Rudd looking to the outside line now as they approach turn one. On the brakes he goes later. He's going to have the inside line for turn two and he gets the position. So Matty Rudd moves up to third. Alan down to fourth after leading for half this race. But this is still a really good showing from the Austrian. And there's Gibb, Bruce Lee Harding, Martin in 7th, 18.05, Deskyver, DMK Dominator down in 10th. Fastest lap still with Hirakram. And there's Ruddo, just tracking him as closely as he can. Matty Rudd in 3rd, Alan still 4th. And P. Gibb just closing the gap now as well. Alan never had a podium in this championship before. But he's got a golden opportunity tonight. Whether he can keep the pressure on as P. Gibb runs just a little bit wide out of Lesmo 2. Not going to be quite enough for Bruce Lee to have a look into Ascari, but it'd be something for him to think about. Maybe a setup to go into Parabolica potentially. Oh, Gibb just running a little bit deep. He didn't quite get the line as perfect as he would have wanted it to. And he's sure enough cut the curb at Ascari. That's giving him a half-second slowdown penalty. He won't have long to clear that either. They only have 2 laps once they've completed this one. Into Parabolica they come, a tighter line from Alan compared to everyone else. He got on the throttle nice now. He's right with Matty Rudd coming out of Parabolica, so this will be the penultimate lap for the drivers. They might have a chance at squeezing another lap in, but we'll soon find out. Alan then putting the pressure on Matty Rudd as he comes towards turn one. He's going to be on the outside on the approach to Variante. On the brakes he goes. He's going to try and turn in if he can. He gets the car turned. He's sideways a little bit. That's cost him all his momentum. P. Gibb not close enough to take advantage of that. So Alan just stays in 4th for the time being. No change behind. Ruddo trying to put the pressure on Hirakram further up the field, but we're with Bruce Lee. And P. Gibb just getting rid of that penalty. Martin just in 7th. Not many moves further down the rest of the field. Oh, Ruddo was broad sideways coming out of the chicane. It's lost him 7 tenths, 8 tenths almost. And Matty Rudd trying to look for 3 podiums in 3 consecutive rounds. He's been driving really consistently this season, but can he hold on? There's P. Gibb, race leader in the previous one, race 1 that was. Can he do anything with that? He's a bit further back in 6th though. Bruce Lee's got past him. Non-ideal for P. Gibb, but a solid haul of points, which is what he needs. 2nd in the championship, Bruce Lee at Harden at the moment. He's scoring points for 5th after outscoring Hirakram, the championship leader, going into this event by 6 in the first round, which would have been enough to have put Bruce Lee in the lead of the championship. But this will just swing it back Hirakram's way. And Ruddo, you suspect he might just be a bit too far back. So let's watch the time as they come across the line. 1:51. I think the front 2 will have enough time to do one more lap. But everyone from Matty Rudd backwards, this is it for them. This will be the final lap, and Pete Gibb senses that opportunity. He's going to try and look to the outside line as they come towards turn 1 for the first, what will be the 8th and final time of asking. On the brakes as late as they dare. Bruce Lee's trying to hold on, but he just about cuts Pete Gibb's nose off. So P. Gibb still in 6th place, trying his utmost. Allen and Matty Rudd still less than a second apart between those two. Hirakram's just got the gap out to a second. Pushes as hard as he can. He was a little bit sideways through the chicane, and a gap under a second again between himself and Ruddo. Matty Rudd there being closed in by Allen, the Austrian driver. Maybe sensing an opportunity, maybe a last chance gasp at Parabolica for him. He's got to get his lines right. His exit's pretty decent. He's in the slipstream then as they come towards Ascari for what should be the final time. The front 2, Ruddo and Hirakram, separated by a second. They should have a lap left together on circuit, but Allen closing the gap. He's cut the inside of Ascari. Might give him a pass. He's a little bit sideways out of Ascari as well. That's not ideal. That might have just cost him the momentum he needed to challenge Matty Rudd on this final lap. But Hirakram comes towards words failing me there. Parabolica. Let's see as he runs towards the line. It's going to be pretty close between these two. So Hirakram, he should come across the line. He does indeed. He sees the final lap. So this it is. Matty Rudd then holds on for a podium. Allen, great performance from Allen. It's got to be said. 4th place, really great result. Best result he's ever had in the Méganes. Driver of this race for absolute certain. Brilliant result for him. Bruce Lee in 5th place. There's Gibb in 6th. Martin 7th. 18:05 backwards across the line. There's Deskyver in 9th for Dominator in 10th place. So we cut back to Ruddo and Hirakram for 1st place. But that moment we saw from Ruddo earlier where he's broad sideways, he's got a second half worth of penalties, which are going to be really difficult for him to try and clear. But it should be Hirakram taking the result, really. It's going to be a Herculean task for Ruddo. He's got the gap down to half a second, but he, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, 2.5 seconds worth of penalties. He will take fastest lap point, which will be beneficial for him. Just gives him another point in his fight to climb up the championship standings. But with 2.5 seconds worth of penalties, this race is looking like Hirakram's. Oh, flicks the car through Ascari. Ruddo trying everything he can to get on the back of his long-time rival. Look how far over the gravel here. But Ruddo went there. He couldn't quite make it stick. And a flash of the lights to say good racing. But it's going to be NXTGEN Hirakram then on the brakes for the final time at Parabolica. Should be cut deal this round, this final sweep in 4th gear right-hander. It's going to be, for the 2nd time this season, NXTGEN Hirakram wins here at Monza. A great result for him. Ruddo comes home in 2nd position. He didn't win last time out of Brands Hatch, but 2 wins out of 2 at Nürburgring and another one here adds to that tally, becomes his 3rd. Great result for him. Fabulous effort from the drivers tonight. It's been a really good showing from everybody. But it's Hirakram who gets his race victory. And he'll be very pleased with that. That puts him back in charge of the championship standings. And he'll be very happy with the result. Let's see how the rest of the season goes. Still 7 rounds left in this championship, and it's absolutely all to play for. It's going to be really fascinating to see how the drivers get on. But what a race, what a set of races tonight around Monza. It really was spectacular to watch. I have to say, was very enjoyable to commentate on. As always, the Méganes, you can watch them on live commentary from myself, JackTM53, here on Twitch. You can always watch and tune in and upload over to YouTube as well, where you can go and watch them back. But that is it for tonight. Round 3 is done. Round 4, the drivers head themselves off to Laguna Seca, the American circuit. Will be fascinating to see how the drivers get on around a brilliant and classic track. But in any case, that's it for me. That's it from the Méganes for round 3 tonight for the Power Max Racing Championship here, hosted by NXTGEN. But wherever you might be in the big wide world, thank you very much for watching, and see you soon.